When you're talking about a dual screen device like Surface Duo, one of the features, one of the things that you want to be able to do that makes the most sense on a device like this is drag and drop. And luckily, thankfully, on Surface Duo, you can do a little bit of that, but you can't quite do it in all the ways that you would expect, but some of that might be starting to change. So in this video, we're going to talk about the ways that you can drag and drop and some new ways that have popped up, as well as some that maybe should work, but don't for some reason. So if we go to Microsoft themselves and ask them about drag and drop on Surface Duo, they give an answer that is honestly a little bit lackluster in my opinion. This last paragraph here is important. Here are some examples of apps that support drag and drop that are pre-installed on Surface Duo. They talk about Microsoft Office, Outlook, Teams, OneNote, To Do, OneDrive, Edge, Solitaire Collection, and Microsoft News. I don't know what exactly you're dragging and dropping out of Solitaire, but for some reason that is on the list. Now, some of these are absolutely accurate, but not necessarily in all the ways that you would expect. If we look here at my Surface Duo, we have OneNote on one screen and then the web browser on the other, and I'll show you what you can do. So let's look at some text here. So here's some text right here. Let's long press on that text. Let's highlight the whole paragraph. We can then long press on it again and we can drag it around. We can bring it over into OneNote and then let that go and it should drop in there. Sometimes when I'm using my mouse that doesn't want to work, we actually will use my finger now on the screen over here. And there we go. Okay, so we'll just we won't use the mouse, we'll use this from here on. So that does work just fine. But what about an image? Let's long press on this image, and just to make sure that nothing possible weird going on, let's open the image in a new tab so that we know that this is just straight up an image. You would expect to be able to do the same thing here, right? Let's long press on it and drag. Doesn't work. Long press, drag, long press until you get a vibration, but you get a menu there. So you can't just drag an image out of the web browser Edge, which is their browser, into OneNote, which is more of their software. Now, the text dragging thing, that seems to work pretty much anywhere. I can drag text out of Chrome into Google Messages, and that works totally fine. But when we're talking about images, the ability to drag and drop images is very, very limited. In fact, let's go to OneDrive, which is what Duo uses for its photos. And let's see if we can drag an image over. So let's long press and drag. That didn't work. We put a check on it. Let's try now that it's checked. Let's try long press and drag over, and it doesn't work. You just simply can't do this. Now, is there potentially some way to do this that I just don't know or can't understand? Absolutely, that is possible. But let me show you something really, really interesting that kind of got me started down this road. I saw this headline: Google Keep lets you drag images to other apps. And I thought that's very strange that you can put an image in Google Keep and then drag it into another app. But I was like, let's look at this. Let's see what this actually looks like. So here's Google Keep on one screen with an image of my juvenile chameleon Clover on that screen. And we're going to see if we can drag that into OneNote. So let's long press it here. And okay, we're very quickly into a dragging situation. Can we bring this over and drop it? Yes, we can. That totally works. Then that got me wondering, well, if it works in Google Keep, does it work like this in Google Photos as well? So let's go to Google Photos and let's pick another image. We'll do my leopard gecko, Leo. We're going to try to long press, and of course, if you drag from here, you're just going to be highlighting lots of different pictures. So just leave it highlighted by with that one check mark on it, and then let's long press again, and there we go. We're dragging over it. Let's let go of that, and it should, once again, that does work. Google Photos working totally fine. Let's go home here, and let's go to Google Messages, and let's try the same thing here. Let's go with that same picture of Leo. Let's grab it, and see how the message box down there is blue and highlighted? It's telling you, hey, you can put that image in there. And guess what? There it is. Let me drag it straight over. Let's really be clear about this, though. Let's go back to OneDrive. There is no way I can find to do this in OneDrive. There is no mechanism that I can figure out to be able to drag stuff from OneDrive to anything, despite the fact that it says you should be able to. Now, of course, it's possible that Microsoft is just simply talking about text and they're not talking about images. And if all you're concerned with is text, then yes, each of these examples here, that should work just fine because text does drag and drop. But that's not limited to pre-installed apps on Duo. That's pretty much any app that I've ever tried to drag one image to another in, that works just fine. But what I find really interesting about this is that a handful of Google official apps now do directly support dragging a photo around like that. We know that Keep just got updated. I don't know when Google Photos got this ability. Maybe some of you have noticed that this happened, but I had tried this several months and months ago, and this was not a thing. At least wasn't functional the way it is now for me. Something might have been broken, but it seems to me as though that was not a thing, and now it is. Google is beginning to do things that are actually going to help Duo in the long run by adding actual full, like rich drag and drop from app to app. I would love to see more and more apps adopt this kind of behavior, because currently the best thing we really have, like when we're back on the web browser here, there is a workaround for this, which some of you may have been screaming at your computers or your phones with. If I long press on the image, I can hit copy image, right? And then I can come back to OneNote, and then I can go into my clipboard and I can paste the image, although in this instance, OneNote does not support pasting. So I guess in this regard, it doesn't actually work the way that you would think it would, but typically you can copy and paste the image. But as you can see, there's one that doesn't work on OneNote, which it 100% should work. Copying and pasting of images should be ubiquitously compatible. But also now what I'm seeing is this sort of drag and drop of images that we've just seen in Keep and in Google Photos, that needs to be something that Microsoft adopts with their first-party apps yesterday. This needs to be something they implement very, very soon, because it makes more sense on Duo than on literally any other device. Because Duo is the only device in which you can have two apps open like this. I know split screen works and other things, but just bear with me. It's the only dual screen device meant specifically for running two apps at a time. And in that regard, you cannot tell me that there is another device on the planet where that makes more sense than it does right here. And the fact that Google is adding this functionality, you're not thinking about Surface Duo, but it's helping us just by happenstance. But Microsoft, you should be thinking of Surface Duo, and you should be actively adding this functionality to all of your apps, so that when we do in fact read this here and we see drag and drop between apps, we're going to assume you mean images too, and then that would actually be the case, instead of now where it's largely not the case. You cannot go to OneDrive and drag an image into Microsoft Office, at least not that I'm able to do. And if it's supposed to be working, it's either broken for some of us or it's broken for all of us. It needs to be fixed. It needs to work like Google's apps are working. That's just how I see it. Guys, let me know what apps you use drag and drop in. Let me know if maybe you've got it working in another application, something that I've not seen, something I've missed, something I did not know about. Talk about it in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.